Toolbox Talk 043, Hazardous Locations. A hazardous area is defined as an area in which there is an explosive atmosphere, or likely to be an explosive atmosphere, therefore requiring special precautions for the construction, installation and use of electrical equipment. The hazardous class of a location depends on the ignition hazards that are present. Class 1 applies when flammable vapours or gases are present. Class 2 applies when combustible dusts and fibres are present. Hazardous areas are covered more in depth in Wiring Rules AS 3000. The section covers classification, general and specific factors and electrical equipment. When classifying a hazardous location, discuss the job with the occupier or owner of the work area. It's generally the responsibility of the occupier to bring the classification to your attention. However, in certain situations, the occupier may not be aware of the wiring rules. Review the Material Safety Data Sheet, or MSDS, for potentially ignitable materials used or stored in the hazardous area. All electrical equipment selected and installed in hazardous areas must comply with the AS 2381 series manual. Some specialist electrical work, when conducted in hazardous locations, will require specific training for working on or installing specific electrical installations. Planning steps. Determine the hazardous area that you'll be working in, keeping in mind that a given installation or task may require work in unclassified areas. Be sure to discuss any questions you may have with your supervisor. Do not assume anything. Ensure all materials for the job are listed or rated for use in the hazardous location in which you will be using or installing them. This includes breakers, switches, motors, motor controllers, fuses motors, receptacles, fittings and boxes. Review the MSDS for hazardous materials existing in the work area, as well as any materials you bring into the work area from off-site. Make sure that you understand the handling and disposal rules for those materials. Understand the requirements for ignition source control, ventilation and hazardous material monitoring. Plan your communication system so it's compatible with the ignition control requirements for the location. For example, you may not be able to use a radio in a Class 1 location. Locate the fire alarms, fire exits, fire extinguishers and emergency showers. Designate someone outside the hazardous area as your contact should anything go wrong. Ensure that this person has constant and reliable communication with you. Always coordinate with the operators. You may have windows of time that are more hazardous or less hazardous than normal. Find out what the sign-in and sign-out procedures are for each particular hazardous area you'll be working in. Obtain any needed welding permits ahead of time. Obtain any needed seal-off kits, gaskets and sealants so you can close junction boxes, sealed fitting and other access points properly. Ensure your tools and supplies, even flashlights, are suitable for the hazardous location. Know which tools you can and cannot use before starting the job. In some locations, you may need to use special tools to avoid spark. Ask yourself, what kind of supplies should you bring so you can safely finish the job? Use only heavy-duty portable cords. Ensure each cord has the grounding pin intact and the jacket is free of cracks or other deformities. Determine how long a portable cord you will need, if any. Obtain cords that meet the necessary requirements for each class of hazardous location. Do not join cords to make a certain length. Bring all the tools you will need to do the job. Stage the job if necessary so you can do this. The idea is to eliminate trips in and out of the hazardous area while work is in progress. This reduces labour costs as well as reducing the exposure time to possible ignition hazards. Bring extra bushings, lock nuts and other supplies so you can finish the job quickly rather than having to leave the unfinished work unattended to get more supplies.